Welcome to the Pharos Fit podcast, where we help you to explore your capacity to move better, push further, and achieve your limitless potential through fitness, nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pharos Fit podcast. I'm here today with Jack Heneghan, one of my oldest and dearest friends from the UK. The Brits are here and we are taking over. Hey Jack, how you doing?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Very good.
Good to have you here. We're up at Pharos Mountain Lodge, just hanging out, drinking coffee, taking in some nature, trying to put the fitness world to rights. Jack, let's start by kind of like giving you an intro and a little bit of a bio about who you are, where you come from, and kind of what you've built. We'll talk about the journey of, gymnasium in a second. Jack has 2 gyms in the UK now?
Work with Gymnasium, which has 2, and then I own another one, which is just out of London as well. So
okay, cool.
One out there.
We'll talk about that in a second, but let's give a brief background on how we got to this place.
Yeah, so I actually came out of uni and I was traveling, and I had been training with a friend of mine whilst I was at uni, doing just like the usual stuff, a bit of Globo Gym stuff. And then I was away traveling and was still in contact with this friend who then kind of introduced me to some CrossFit stuff. And back in those days, it was just YouTube videos. That's really all we had access to. And he started sending me a few things whilst I was away, but obviously I wasn't really like doing that much stuff. Came back to London, started doing some of the workouts that he'd sent. And I just remember doing like the first few, and they were just horrendous. And I messaged him back and I was like, I'm not doing this. This is just so dumb. Like it just hurts. Like all I want to do is just like, I'm just going to go do some bench and some curls and like do like 10 minutes on the treadmill at the end. And that's me keeping fit. But then he sent me like, he would then send me one and just say like, oh, this took me 9 minutes, or, just doing, and I'd look at it and go, I think I could probably go I could probably beat that.
Right.
And then that's kind of it. But back in those days, I literally I'd watched probably every kind of CrossFit video you could find on YouTube. This was back in like 2009, 10.
Yeah.
And it was just videos of like Spieler, and maybe like the odd one with like Khalipa and stuff. But there was honestly like, there was so little out there around it that we were like, I've watched like everything. This is weird. And then decided I didn't have a job, I was like temping, but I didn't have really like an idea of what I was going to do. And I trained a few people, so I just thought, I'll explore this path a little bit and see where it goes. Was doing a lot of CrossFit, decided to go and do like my level 1, which seems a bit like stupid now if you've never done CrossFit to go and decide to do level 1. But like there was so few CrossFit gyms in those days. Like the only way you could actually find out what it was to just go and do the level 1, because the nearest gym to me at that time was over an hour's drive away. So I went, did that, and then that kind of set me up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and open a CrossFit gym and stuff back then.
What was the first CrossFit gym in the UK? Was it
the first? I don't want to offend anyone here, but I think,
is it CrossFit Thames or something?
No, I think it was. Well, Carl Steadman, I think, was the first non-US based level 1 coach, and so it was either one of the CrossFit Manchester ones, or it was one of the London ones. I think it was one of those two. Were definitely one of the first few. There was
an old London one that was in an arch by the Thames. What was that?
That was Thames. So there was
Thames CrossFit.
When we opened like the London one, there was 5 other ones in London. So I think there was Thames, Central London, CrossFit London, Bold, CrossFit Bold.
CrossFit Bold.
And then I think we were next, and Bold was a few months before us, and then it was us. So yeah, it was when we opened in London, like we had people from every London affiliate that came to like visit and stuff, because it was still
it was a small community.
It's a small community, really novel, like people coming and stuff.
What was the CrossFit where I think you were with me, we went to do the weightlifting cert?
That was Bethnal Green. So that's CrossFit London's original site. Like they've since moved to a new site, but that was their kind of original one. And that was like the pull-up rig was made of scaffolding, and like you were just like, yeah, this is cool. Like this is the norm and stuff. And if you did that now,
Yeah, it's so like it's so funny now because you know a lot of gyms and a lot of CrossFit gyms are so polished, but people forget in the early days people were just making stuff out of what they could because you know you would watch, like you said, you'd watch videos on YouTube, you would find whatever you could, and then you would just try and copy it.
Yep.
Rogue was not what it is now back then. In fact, again, Faster was bigger than Rogue like in the early days.
That's who we first tried to get equipment from.
And yeah, it really was just like piecing stuff together. But I missed that kind of like, it was so kind of pioneering and so new and so different. And it was a lot of it was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But it was new, so it didn't matter. And everyone was just experimenting, and it was a good time. So you did your L1, and how long after the L1 because at first it was called In2 CrossFit, right?
Yeah. So when I did my level 1, one of the instructors on the like the seminar instructors, I found out that his gym was just over an hour away. So I asked him if I could basically intern at his gym. So I would just go there and just coach.
Where was that?
For free. It was previously called CrossFit Infinity, and it's now Devil's Path, which is a really cool gym now, owned by Wayne Jarrett. But back then, and even then, like it was maybe, like 800 square foot room, which was tacked onto
800 square feet.
It was tacked onto a school as well. So you would come in at night, you would set up the class, and then they'd also run BJJ. So sometimes you'd finish a class and then you'd have to put all the soft matting down, and then it would be a BJJ room and stuff, and it just went back and forth. But
oh my god,
still have really good members, and I was there for a while whilst trying to figure out how to set up a gym. And I was based an hour outside of London, was looking for a site, and I just couldn't find a site. So I would keep kind of expanding the like search range, like up and up and up and up.
Right.
I'd never had like any desire or any plans to be in London. And loads of my friends post uni went there, but it was never like massively into like the city life or anything. But I just kept going and going and going until eventually I found this site in Clapham. And I'd never even set foot in Clapham the day that I went to see the site. Like I had no idea, where it was or if it was a good site or anything like that. I just saw a warehouse and I was like, sweet. Yeah, let's go look at that, and went and looked at it and basically got it that day. It was really easy.
And how big was the original site?
The original one was 1,500 square foot. So it was an old live art studio. So they were used to people with their tops off already. Yeah. So it was like a seamless transition. So it was 1,600 square foot. I think it was a while ago, but it was set up on like less than £20,000 to do all of the work, all of the equipment. Wow. Like it was real spit and sawdust. I actually went to regionals that year. Rogue used to sell off some of their equipment. Right. And because they'd shipped it in from, is it Finland? No, yeah, Finland, I think they're based. They'd shipped it to Bolton, and I just don't think they wanted to ship it back. So they were just like, you can take like whatever. Yeah. But it was pretty cool because all of the equipment that we had in the early days had literally been used by, so Miko was at that game, and like
his blood was still on the box.
Yeah, like all of that kind of stuff. And we were like, this is actually pretty cool. Like it came straight from that. And that kit we had for 9 years or something in the end. So yeah, we set up that gym, and that was, at the time, it would have probably been like the nicest affiliate. Right. Based on the fact that we had maybe matching barbells and showers. Like that was like the standard. They go in and go like, oh man, you've got like clips and stuff. Like this is huge. And that was in 2011. And that was old school. Like I moved out. I was receiving my parents after uni, and I just moved into the gym, and I just slept on a rollout mattress on the floor. Yes. For I think it was like just under 6 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
And then you expanded. So 2011 you opened. Yeah. And then you expanded in the same area but made it bigger.
Yeah, so we expanded probably in 2013. We kind of took on 2 units next door, knocked through some walls to create a bigger shower area and also just another studio, which actually we just ran then as like one big space because we just wanted bigger classes.
And for like the entrepreneurs listening, like at what stage did you think it was a good idea to expand? Like what kind of number of membership were you in? Can you remember? Like
we had about 110 when we went through to a second studio. So we went from a workout space which was 1,200 square foot to a workout space which was about 2,300. So we essentially doubled
it, yeah.
Just to like make the class bigger and stuff. But
because you were capped out in the space you were in, and
you are capped out. But I think a lot of people, like owners, would look at it and think they were capped out, but you're actually capped out on like 2 classes. And it's still actually way more efficient to just make better use of your existing space.
Right.
At other times, classes, versus just making it bigger, because all you're doing is all that will happen is you just fill up those peak classes again, and all the other ones are still really quiet.
Right.
And I try and say that to loads of owners now, that they fall into this trap of like, oh, I've just got to go bigger and bigger and bigger. Whereas it's like, no, actually, like you just want to make as much use as possible of the square foot you already have.
Yeah.
Because anything you can do like just makes the use of that space more efficient.
Right. And that's so true, especially in like London, LA, New York, anywhere where the square footage is so expensive. It's like you have to maximize the value of that square footage as much as you possibly can.
Yep.
And you know, we've been in the game a long time, and we'll go into this a little bit more later, but you know, the real struggle with the CrossFit style gym was like, once you get to capacity in the space you're in, how the hell do you make any more money, and how do you end up not just employing yourself and just essentially buying yourself a job, because you're only ever going to get X amount of revenue out of a 2,000 square foot space. Once you get to the point where you don't want to teach every class anymore, you have to take on employees. Then you have, you know, salaries to pay and wages to pay. It gets very, very difficult to make any kind of money out of a fitness space. And we'll talk about this a bit more as we go. But the expansion allowed you to get more members, so you went to 110 to.
So we got to about 220, 230, and then we were constantly bumping into some capacity issues.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't really know what we were doing in terms of how to make it as efficient as we can. So we just had a membership.
Were you just doing one class at that? It was just CrossFit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many classes a day were you doing at that point, do you think?
We were 3, 4, 7 Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays and Sundays. But, you know, even in those days, Saturdays was your regular kind of very heavily like community focused day. So it would be a little bit different through Monday to Friday, because in London, on a weekday, when that class ends, if you're in the morning class, it's just like, back in those days, it was finish, shower, coffee, get on the tube. Like it was, you didn't have time to hang around or anything like that. Whereas on Saturdays, it's a little bit, everyone's a little bit more relaxed. And then on a Sunday, it was just, we just had open gym. People would just pull like squat racks and benches outside, just in the sun, drinking coffee. And like, those are the things you look back on with that kind of like rose tinted spectacles of like, oh, it was so much better in those days and stuff. But at the same time, you're not, I wouldn't have been able to carry on doing that for like 20 years or there's no like way.
It's unsustainable.
It's unsustainable.
It's just that magical time when it's like, it's enough for right now.
Yeah.
But it's never gonna last. Like we talk about this a lot, where it's like, especially in CrossFit, it's like people open a CrossFit because they love it and it's their passion, and like they love working out and they love being a trainer and they love being a coach. That it's that difficult transition between being a coach and loving training and then being a business owner.
Yeah.
And realizing that, you know, loving fitness and being a great coach is not enough to run a successful business.
Yeah.
And that's why so many of these smaller like CrossFit gyms just die out, because they can't make that transition. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm not doing anything that I used to enjoy. I'm not even coaching anymore. I'm just essentially a business owner looking at numbers.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult transition psychologically for a lot of people to make.
I think it was different for me in the sense that I remember the guy who got me into CrossFit in the first place, he opened his affiliate a couple of months before me, Piet, who still owns HG3. And I can still remember being on the phone to him about a site that I'd found and just talking about like how it was good for the first one, and like then I'd want to try and do a second one and stuff. And the problem at the time was you couldn't have like 2 CrossFit affiliates. And I actually emailed. Oh,
you weren't allowed to?
You weren't allowed. You're still not allowed. Like I can't be the affiliate owner of 2 affiliates and stuff. So, I mean, it's weird. You just have a coach who you just make the affiliate owner, even though they don't own the business.
Right.
But I then emailed, and this is how small the community was back then. I just emailed Jason Kalipa.
Yeah.
Because I knew he had more than one site.
Right.
And he just like, he came straight back to me and was just offering advice and stuff, which you're just never going to get now from like those guys. Yeah. But yeah, I knew straight away, even like if you have a very successful affiliate or CrossFit gym, then it's still not going to be enough. Like you have to figure out something else that you're going to do, whether it's just open more sites or, everyone's always talking about how can you just generate more revenue from like your existing and stuff through whatever you're going to do, like, PT or supplements or all of that stuff. Yeah.
But I think broadly, from memory, you always had a good business brain. It was always a business venture for you. And it never was, you were never that, don't take this the wrong way, but you were never like a great CrossFitter that wanted to go to the games and you wanted like to dedicate your life to CrossFit. It was like, this is the business and I'm going to run it as a business.
Yeah. I never came into it from that standpoint, which a lot of owners did. And I was really lucky the whole time from a very early stage in the business where I had business partners that were like way smarter than me on a business standpoint. Right. And so many affiliate owners or coaches would benefit from that. Like someone that's involved in the business that doesn't come at it from like a coaching standpoint. Right. And that was like where I was really like, it was invaluable stuff to get from them the whole time.
Yeah. That's awesome. So this is we're in 2013. Had you taken on investment at this point, or were you like?
Yeah, so I took on investment to open the first iteration, and then after I was maybe like 3 months. So a girl came in on the first like open day that we had. She came in, I think, with a friend who had done some CrossFit. She came in, did it, and was like, "This is really cool." She's a physiotherapist, and she joined like on day one. She just finished uni. And she's like the best athlete that I've ever coached. And literally when we were teaching her to do something, we put a barbell in her hand and we were like, "Oh, we're going to do split jerk." She'd never had a bar in her hand. And 30 minutes later, she was doing a 60 kilo split jerk, which now you think like that's nothing. But
but if you've never picked up a barbell before.
And also 10 years ago, if a female walked in and could do strict push-ups, you'd be like, wow, like, okay, like we've got something to work with. Like that's how much the industry's changed. And so she came, Sarah came in, was a coach for a while, and I had the investor, but was just a completely silent partner. And in the early days of a gym, like what you really need is just people like in the trenches with you. It's such a hustle. And she ended up buying that investor out. So then we'd kind of not taken on any investment at that point. And it was just the two of us, like building it up from there.
And that was 2013, and In2 survived as In2 for till when?
2017. Till 2017. So we actually went 2014, 15. We took on another unit in London, which was much smaller to do some PT and
out the back,
out the back where you've done stuff before. And then in 2015 we opened a completely new site, which was out of London, back in my hometown. So that was like full circle for me. I ended up opening an affiliate right where I wanted to open one.
That was in Fulham, right?
That was in Farnham.
Farnham.
5 years before. And that one was, and still is, if you walk in, you're like, "Oh, it's a CrossFit gym. Like this is, this is nice." Where you have, it's not just some random secondhand shower cubicles that you have. Like it's real nice stuff that you have in there. And it's it's dated now. It's 6 years old, but at the time it was
nice. We did our Jim Jones, what did we do? Was it level 1?
Level 1. We actually did it when it wasn't even finished. So we had like no flooring. We were like unwrapping barbells and just getting it all out and stuff. But even then, without a floor and without a lot of stuff working in it, it would have still been classed as like a really nice.
So you had like new bikes and new rowers and shit like that. Just to go back just a second. So the original gym's in Clapham. And I know a lot of people go through this. Your gym, it's funny, in the kind of like estate where you are, there's a Reach gym our friend Rich Tishmarsh owns. That's another kind of like
more boot camp
style fitness gym. And there's other gyms as well, right? Wasn't there a personal training studio?
So there's actually now, so you come in, you got Reach, then you would find us, and then at the kind of the back of the estate, there's a new ladies only one, which is like a gym as well, not just PT, but ladies only training. Then there is 2 personal training spaces out the back, and then there's our like last unit that's out there as well. So of the estate, it's maybe, I would say 60% fitness businesses.
It's so crazy. And how have you managed to like deal with that? Like, how have you managed to deal with that competition over the years? Is it just focusing on like your brand and what you do and not worrying about what they do? Or?
Yeah, largely. We've gone through phases where we've done a bit of personal training, but as it is now, we don't do any. So all the PT spaces, like, you know, that doesn't phase us at all. The only gym that was kind of similar in its group fitness offering would have been Reach, but even, you know, what they do was just different, different to us. And, you know, we've had, I would say, probably 2 or 3 members that have gone and joined there. That was back in the days where we were pure CrossFit, and that just isn't for everybody, for anyone. And, you know, a few have come from Reach that have joined us who maybe they wanted to do like more skill-based work or something.
Sure.
I say it to like coaches quite often, like our coaches. I really try and hammer home, like there's no benefit to kind of slating another gym one that's local to you, like there never is, no matter what you like may think of them or what your opinion is of it, because, you know, if someone walks in and I was to badmouth a local gym, it just doesn't put you in like a very good light. So you always just focus on your own stuff. The only way to like ensure your success is to make your gym better. It's not to put another gym down.
Exactly. And because you're probably a similar price point as well, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
And like you never want to getting into a price war on that sense. Right. That really doesn't usually help unless you're in a really good position where you've got good backing and you can kind of ride out that storm.
God, do you remember the what was the website where you get like discount classes all the time?
ClassPass. Oh no, Groupon.
Groupon.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's what some of the CrossFit gyms that they were just hammering Groupon.
Yeah.
And we like never went near it. You know, I think they like kind of contacted us and we spoke to them, and the big thing that they would do is you'd have your CrossFit fundamentals course. Right. It's a 4-week course and you do that and then you can do classes, which would have a value of probably £150 or something. And on Groupon, you could just do it for 20. So even, you know, every month you'd see these gyms and they'd bring like 50 people in on really low value. Right. And then they'd get to the end of that and then you go, okay, well, our monthly membership's, you know, £180. And they'd go, I'm on Groupon.
I mean, talk about devaluing your brand. It's just like, God.
And they were just but we avoided that the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was all, you just had to look at it and knew it was doomed to fail. It was a terrible idea. Yeah. But, okay, so we're at 2017, and did Farnham open as In2 CrossFit Farnham?
Yeah, so we actually changed to In2 Training at that point to try and be a little bit independent from the CrossFit brand. We were still affiliated and stuff, but
you were offering more than just CrossFit.
We were offering more than just CrossFit, and if we never wanted to be. If you just took CrossFit away, then kind of what are you left with? So we wanted to be an independent brand. And CrossFit was just part of what we offered. And that was in 2015. And that was probably like the steepest learning curve in the 10 years or 11 years working in the gyms now that I think I've ever had, is opening a second one, not realizing, because I was in the London one every day, not to say I was coaching all the classes or anything, but I was just there all the time. I just didn't appreciate that if I just stepped away from that completely, that would leave like this vacuum,
this hole,
from a community standpoint, but also from a coaching standpoint. And I hadn't set it up right, so there wasn't like proper leadership. Right. So I was just trying to spin 2 plates at the same time. And neither gym was Clapham was doing still okay from a financial standpoint, but the culture was a huge change, and it was really hard to get the Farnham one off the ground because we didn't have
you weren't established
we didn't have like the systems, and everyone always talks about systems, but like we just didn't have a culture established and everything there. And that was like a rough 18 months. A really, really rough 18 months.
And what was the game changer? What was the fix?
We sold Clapham. So that was probably
you sold Clapham?
Yeah, Clapham, we basically divided the into groups so that the Farnham gym stayed independent, but Clapham was sold to an investor and rebranded to Gymnasium. Right. Because the Farnham gym had managed to establish itself. And the Clapham gym was still like kind of doing okay. But we were then in a position where both gyms were the return that we were going to be getting versus like the level of work and stress that they were causing was never really going to be justified. The thing that really turned it around in Farnham, actually, and I know it's kind of not sensitive, but it's just like a little bit of a taboo subject in like the fitness industry, but we worked with Gym Launch, and we went from 140 members to 240 in 6 months.
What is Gym Launch for people that don't know?
So back then, their main thing was they do like fitness and weight loss challenge. So you join for 6 weeks. You pay like what the 6 weeks is worth. So it's not massively devalued. And if you achieve your goals, then you get like that investment back. But the way that it works is you can have it back and then you can just leave, or you can use it as credit towards future membership.
Right.
Which was always our kind of goal, is to try and get people up and training. And you know, the branding and stuff that we used was nothing like our own branding, but we decided like, look, if we're going to do it, just go all in and really, really try it.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it really, really worked. It massively changed the business, and we managed to grow the other side of our offering, which was like CrossFit on one side and then Sweat, which is on our other side, which is basically
high intensity,
take away the barbells and stuff. And it absolutely exploded when we did that. So that probably honestly that saved the business.
Wow.
Because it got us up to just a really healthy point where we were like ticking along, and we could do things like, we need to buy kit, or you know, we can hire full-time coaches and that kind of stuff. So,
but Farnham remains separate from Gymnasium. It's two separate businesses.
Yeah.
But you manage both of them, or
no? So the Farnham gym's there's a gym manager in there. There's like a head coach and a really good full-time team in there. That, you know, for all intents and purposes, that's their gym, and they kind of run it mostly as I want, and I try and help out where I can, just with some advice and stuff, but like largely those guys there.
It's
and
kind of self-sustaining.
Yeah, and I'm lucky as well. My parents are still based down there, so they help out as well, just from like a more of a business standpoint, in making sure little things like making sure it's always clean, and just like the things that no one really enjoys doing, but that everyone benefits from having someone say like, you probably need to you know, do this or that.
Was it hard to find good coaches in Farnham compared to London?
So at the start, two people actually moved from who were like based out in like Bristol, so it's like over an hour away, and they moved to the area, and that was, you know, those like Matt and Anetta.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were
still
lucky.
There?
No, they now have their own affiliate
like
back over that way. So we were lucky that they like kind of took a chance and did that, and like they were really great in helping build a culture and a community at the start. And fortunately for us, unfortunately for them, there was another gym quite close that went out of business because the investor or the owner was basically really dodgy and hadn't paid rent or anything. The landlord just shut the gym down, which left coaches and members with a kind of no gym to go to. So we actually then took those coaches on.
Great.
We offered the members, were like, we let them train for free for a while they thought they were going to try and reopen.
Deciding.
And then we managed to keep those coaches, and one of those is now the gym manager. So in that sense, like, we really lucked into it. We've got then another coach there who came through as a member, and another one who moved from South Africa. I don't know why, but they ended up in, like, you know, Farnham, which is a small town outside of London.
Right.
And she's like awesome. If you can ever hire South Africans, like, definitely hire South Africans. They're great. There's just like great personalities to have in the gym. And so, we were really lucky from that standpoint. But most of the time it's people that come through as members that you then hire as coaches. Yeah. Which is a longer way to do it, but
we've done that plenty, you know. For us, it's been a kind of process of like hiring great people and turning them into great coaches, as opposed to sometimes hiring coaches that don't quite like suit you. And, like, you have to change their personality, which never really works.
That's always what we say. Like I can teach someone to be a great coach, but you can't teach someone to be a great person.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
just focus on the personality, and the stuff, the rest can come afterwards for sure.
So it becomes Gymnasium in 2017.
Yep.
And then what changes? Like, what changes about In2 CrossFit into Gymnasium?
One was a huge brand refurb from like a physical standpoint in terms of new kit. We refreshed like the whole Clapham site because it was
it's pretty swanky now.
Yeah.
In back in the day, it was kind of like
it's real spit and sawdust.
Rough and ragged, real spit and sawdust, but now it's kind of swanky.
Yeah, no, it's little things like, you'd buy some kit from Again Faster, some from whatever, Wolverson, whatever. And then it was just like all of that kit we donated to charity and like youth groups and stuff. And it was just like rogue, everything.
Right.
Rebranded, and then rebranding from like the actual brand standpoint as to what we were about, who we were really aimed at, and making it very much focused on community and it being as welcoming as possible versus like that diehard CrossFit, business. And
so at that point, you really just kind of identified your target market and then built the gym around, okay, who are we really trying to appeal to here? Who do we really want to...
Yeah, I think it was more like we really identified what we were as a brand versus what the kind of member we were looking for. Because I think, that's a big part of our brand, is that we don't want a specific, everyone always talks about like, oh, well, what's your avatar? And you just go after those people. And it's like, well, no, like we want to be able to train someone from when they're 5 to when they're 80 years old.
Right.
So we don't have a specific avatar, but we need to make our brand kind of as welcoming to that range of people versus it being what members you want, and then build your brand around that.
Yeah. Did you... So one thing that we've always kind of struggled with, when someone asks you, what is Pharos or what is Gymnasium? What's your answer to that? Like, what is Gymnasium?
So we always start, it's a group training, community-based gym. So we have, our classes mean that you have everything you would need from a fitness standpoint.
Sorry, it's the cat.
You would either...
She needs to go out.
Oh, no.
Let her out, Brandon. Let her out. Give her some freedom. There you go.
Yes, basically, we try and cover you from any fitness like needs. We have strength classes, group, basically like fitness classes, which are Athletica, and then we have CrossFit, which is for those that are a little bit more competitive or sport-based. And so we'll cover off everything that you need from that standpoint. But you're not in here training by yourself, and it's always coach-led.
Right.
I guess, yeah.
It's hard, right? It's hard to define.
Yeah.
Because people always want like a one-sentence answer. What is it? And it's really hard to define it.
You can go like, oh, we're group-based strength and conditioning gym. And like to a layman's person on the street, they'd be like, I'm no wiser than I was before you started that sentence. So, okay.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to be refining what we are for the next 10 years. But so Gymnasium opens. It's a big grand opening. It's super flash. I've been there. It's super nice. And did the same members stay, or was it like...
No, so we didn't... I'm sure some members left, not necessarily because of the switch, but they all stayed. And that was probably like the biggest key to the success is we were essentially a brand new gym, but we were starting off with this core group of like 160 members that were like, that was all like you're almost your like culture dish. And it's like everything grows from those people. So you have this really good core that it grew out from, which... having opened other gyms, like realize how important that is to have a good like foothold. Did you have to you had to close the gym for a bit? Obviously, we closed. I mean, it was pretty brutal. We did it on I think it started on the Friday. Like we ran, the last class In2 class and stuff, and then it was like shut down. Get rid of all of the kit. So we donated it to youth groups, firehouses, and stuff like that. And then the builders came in, and we were going at it like the whole weekend, and we were still closed on the Monday. On the Monday night at about 1 a.m, some members came back because we were then moving all of the new equipment we'd had delivered was in one of our other units, and we're like walking it all down, putting it into the racks and stuff. And I left there. It was like 1:30 a.m. We've been really lucky because some of the members had come to help us out. And then like 6 a.m. I was just coaching. Oh, Tuesday morning was like the first gymnasium class. Oh, fuck. Like, okay, here we go. So we actually we closed fully for 3 days. And then it took another, way longer than it should have, like 3 weeks to do the changing area and all of that. But that we operated, but without that being in there. So we just had this huge tarpaulin sheet hanging up and stuff. So yeah, it was only a 3-day closure.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, it was good, but I mean, it was rough.
Brutal. But so that's how you got to get shit done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. And then, so you opened back up with 160 members, you said?
Yep. And then we really struggled actually, because what we did was we'd had this like core CrossFit was our main thing that we had.
Yeah.
We had a big open space which we put a dividing screen in so that we could have 2 studios run 2 types of classes at once. So we then launched like our Athletica program.
Yeah.
For that, Big Red, who you've met, he came over from South Africa. Like, really just took an absolute punt on this working out that it was going to work out and stuff. But he basically built that whole thing by himself. So created a type of training, how he wanted it to run and what it was and stuff. But it was whilst our current members had access to it, it was also a separate membership. So when it started, there would be 2 people in a class, and it's the type of class where with 2 people, it's hard. It's a slog. Yeah. And what you really need is like 20, 25. And I remember some of our existing members were a bit annoyed because what we had essentially done was we'd taken away CrossFit capacity. We'd gone from 24 to 12 and given half the space away to them. And they'd be coming in like, I can't get into a class and like this is completely empty.
Yeah.
And you'd see them like looking in and they give you like the eyes and stuff. And then, 3, 4, 5 months later, I remember like one of he's a really like close friend of mine, but Liam, he like looked in and he saw there was about like 18, 19 people. And he kind of looked around and he like looked at me and he just went, I was finding like, it worked after a while. Like it kind of got to that point, but we really struggled to grow, and it's constantly just like fine tuning stuff. Like everyone always thinks there's a silver bullet to, if we just do this, like, if our social media is better, like it'll take off. Or this. And what it actually is like there's hundreds of little things and all of them move the needle a tiny amount, but you just have to keep going on all of those things until eventually you have that momentum to do it. And then it really took off actually when, I can't remember, I was in LA a few years ago, but I don't know if you were here or if oh, you were here, of course, because I came to
for the wedding when you were here
for the wedding, for Alex Hannah's wedding. And that was like this absolute sweet spot where we'd finally finished fine-tuning a lot of stuff, and we came away, and every time we'd like travel somewhere, we'd fly somewhere, Big Red was running the inquiries, and we'd message and be like, right, when we get off this flight, like we want another 5. And you get off the plane and you just see like all these signups coming through. Oh, and it was, finally it just hit. And then like we were off and we ramped up to 360 members over, I think it was like 6 to 8 months or something.
Great. Doubled.
And there was maybe a few like big things that we did that made significant change, but like honestly, it's constantly just trying to like fine tune as many things as possible.
And I think stuff like recommendation, word of mouth, people telling other people about it, like that's a huge part of it.
Yep.
I think almost Instagram, Facebook ads, of that kind of stuff. Yes, it's an important part of your business, but like if someone likes my post who lives like in 2 states over,
exactly,
who the fuck, like that's not going to do business. We're not selling a product like that. I mean, yes, we sell some apparel maybe, but the people that you want to join your gym are going to live like in that radius, like right by you.
Yeah.
So really that's going to be like, word of mouth, or maybe it's foot traffic to some degree, or local awareness somehow. But this whole thing about like, you have to have a huge following on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, well, that doesn't really help my day-to-day operations.
And you get, like, I'm sure you've had it where you would get an influencer who'd be like, oh, is there any chance like, I'll post 100%. It in return. I've got, she'd be like 80,000 followers. And I'd be like, cool. Do they all live within a mile? Because that's
what
like,
is that gonna do for
that's like where all our members come from. Right. So this doesn't help us at all.
No.
Social media is good, but it's great if you use it more as much as anything for like internal, so to showcase like your members and stuff versus like this.
But if I mean the way I think it works really well. So like I said, if you are selling a product that people are willing to like click and buy, it's great. But if it's like we're saying, like, if you have a gym, a physical location that requires participation in that location, unless they're in that 5 mile radius, maybe even less than that, it's not going to do anything for you. Sometimes we've done a couple of like sponsored posts on that kind of stuff, and it's raised awareness in the area. It always blows my mind that, because we're 22,000 square feet, if people are in Echo Park, they don't know that we're there. I'm like, how can you not know we're here?
Yeah.
But you know, you forget that a lot of people don't go down the road that we're on. It can be kind of hidden. And if you don't walk down specific streets, then you're not going to see it. So a lot of people just, you know, as big as you are, they don't know you exist. So that's something we've had to try and...
Yeah, we get people walk past that, come in, and they're like, oh, I've lived in Clapham for 10 years. I had no idea you were here. And they live like 200 meters away.
Yeah. So, what?
Yeah. And so on part of you, like, man, we've done like a really bad job. But also, people are just so like in their zone. They've got their, unless they kind of deviate from their... And most of the time it's like, oh, but now I have a friend that comes here. And they've then told them about it, and then it goes off like that.
But if you're in a small town and there's like 1 or 2 gyms in the area, people are going to know about you. If you're in LA and there's 1,000 gyms, 1,000 restaurants, 1,000 cafes, there's everything all the time. It's easy to get lost in the, you know, lost in the blur of everything. So we're in a gymnasium. We've opened. We're at 360 members. At what point did you then decide to open another facility in Wandsworth, right?
In Wandsworth, yeah. Well, from day one, this was never a...
It was never a one gym.
It was never a one gym when Gymnasium was kind of born.
You approached it like, this is a brand, this is a product, and you're going to open 10 gyms. Yeah.
The first one was almost, you have proof of concept at quite a raw level, because it was still ultimately born out of another gym. But we had like, okay, we know the Athletica, this is good. And we had our Stronger program, which is like kind of built off your build program that we've seen. And from day one, we were like, right, let's start looking. And commercial property, dealing with it in London is brutal. Like, I don't know to the extent of what it's like in LA and stuff, but
it's brutal.
It's commercial agents, terrible, landlords, terrible, councils, terrible. Like, it's just...
They make it so hard.
So hard. And so we were looking, and we actually looked at the Wandsworth site in... I mean, the last few years, I've like completely lost track because of everything. But I think it was 2021. So I think we looked at it at the end of 2019, start of 2020. And we actually looked at one just around the corner. That kind of got accepted. We were moving along, was going into the Christmas break, and they were like, okay, when we reconvene for our board meeting, this is the landlords, you know,
right.
And came after Christmas, and then we get a message. The existing tenants have decided to try and restart. That's the third time that they had kind of shut and rebranded this restaurant or whatever. And we were like, this seems like a smart decision, but okay. And then they offered us this other one. And then that took another, I think, full year of red tape.
And this is in the pandemic by this point, right?
This is coming pre-pandemic. So the first proper site meeting we had there with all of the contractors, electricians, architects, and everything was, it was like the first week of March 2020. So that's like the year the pandemic started, isn't it? Yeah. And it was like one of those things where I'll never forget where I was. We stood chatting around. There's like 8 COVID cases. We're like, this is like not a big deal. I don't understand like why we're all doing it. Why there's like such a big thing, and we're planning on when we're going to start the build work, when we're going to do like all of this, and we hadn't quite like locked in to sign and like take on the lease. And then like 2 weeks later,
everything got shut down.
Everything stopped. So no construction, nothing. So we didn't do anything there until it was like the September that year.
But you weren't paying rent or anything.
We weren't paying rent. Like, I mean, it was just, and that's. A lot of businesses, you know, they took a massive hit, as did we. But that was one of the few things where we were lucky in the pandemic. It's just like we just hadn't quite signed, and we actually hadn't signed because we didn't have a power supply. Like, it was something really kind of arbitrary. We were really pushing, but we we wouldn't sign it without power because we couldn't start work, and therefore we'd be paying rent without being able to do anything.
Yeah.
So it was just pure luck that, again, red tape like had slowed it down, but then it slowed it down to the point where we were like, okay, like we're actually just going to hold off until whatever it was.
It was encouraging for me to see from an industry standpoint, like you grow during the pandemic. 98 in Australia grew during the pandemic, and it was kind of like it was good to see like entrepreneurial spirit like that, because it would have been easy for a lot of us just to be like, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm done.
So many gyms like shut down.
So many gyms shut down. But it was I was looking around other gyms, and I saw you growing, I saw them growing, and we were growing. It's like, okay, it's good to see that kind of spirit globally. So you eventually open when 2021?
So we actually finished the gym January 2021, but then we were in lockdown, so we couldn't actually open until April the 12th.
Wow.
So we were we're doing our best. You're trying to sign pre-sign and all of that sort of stuff, but pre-sale normally is pretty good, but you're trying to pre-sell people, like at least for us, where they had no idea, like were they going to be working from home. Were they not?
How long is the pandemic going to go on for? Yeah, no one knew.
And everyone's like, if the gym closes again, what will you do? And we froze memberships for those who wanted to freeze, and they could come back on like their old rates and stuff. So we tried to be as like understanding as possible. We were also really lucky in that a lot of our members carried on paying a membership, which I think was a real testament to CrossFit gyms over
community,
Globo gyms, in that if you were at, I don't know what.
If you're at like
Equinox, I guess you could use here. They were just like, I'm not like, no, like I'm not paying $250 a month to support you during this. Like, no. Whereas the smaller CrossFit gyms, they just, they kept paying, and that's like a real testament to why those gyms are different and stuff.
That community spirit really makes a difference. Yeah.
But so then we opened April the 12th last year. So we just had our 1 year anniversary at the new site.
Congrats.
Thank you. And then it was just all the way through to the end of last year, where we were just trying to figure stuff out, like trying to solve problems, and we didn't know what the problems were. Like, you don't know whether it's the pandemic and that's why things are slow, or like is what we're doing and what we're offering not really what people are looking for. Because all we had to go on was like, well, in Clapham before the pandemic, we got to just over 400 members, and it was like ludicrously busy, and we had all these like crazy memberships, like, oh, you can't train on a regular one, but if you're willing to train at 8 p.m. Monday to Thursday and 4 o'clock on a Sunday, then you can have like this one. And it was like way cheap, because we just like basically said like filling a gym is basically like you have a huge jar, and the first bit is like you're just filling it with like rocks and stuff, and that's all your big like memberships and stuff, but then you're left with like all these gaps. And then it's like little grains of sand that you're trying to pour in afterwards. Like, okay, well, how can we get people to do it?
400 members for a gym that's only, how many square feet are you?
Workout space. Oh man, Alex will shout if I get this wrong. I think it's 2,900.
Gee, that's huge. Dude.
Yeah.
400 members for 2,900 square feet. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone would like it, but it comes down to that thing, like, you're paying, like, you've got fixed costs, which is rent and like staff costs. And so you have to like wage everything against that and try and make that as like efficient as possible, because those things are like fixed. So once you're paying coaches and once you're paying rent, everything that's relatively fixed, you just have to generate as much revenue like against that as possible. Because once you get past a certain point as a business, then it's profit.
Right.
And if you go, well, let's make a bigger space, and it's like, okay, well, you've moved that needle now, because now there's more rent. So now you actually have to get more members. And there's definitely a tipping point of where it's not as economical to just keep going bigger and bigger. There definitely is, like, if you have a 500 square foot gym, probably you're going to go like, well, everything stays the same because I need one coach to run this. But if we had 2,000 square foot, I'd still only need one coach.
Right.
But then there's like a tipping point where it's like, well, now you need 2 coaches, so you've doubled that.
And that's definitely one of the things we've had at Pharos is, we have so many rooms, we have so many coaches all working at the same time. We have a big front desk staff, we have a big cleaning staff. Our wage bills ludicrous. Like it's and you have workers' comp and stuff in America. So everything gets really, really, really expensive. And it's a really tough act to juggle. Like, what's it worth? Like, what is this room worth? Like, even if you have, 100 people in it, does it pay for itself?
Yeah.
That's the question you have to ask yourself, because it seems like bigger is always better, and the more classes you have, the better it is, the more room, but that all has a cost, and it's really hard to make enough money to justify that cost. And people, sometimes people will come into Pharos and they'll see like, you know, all the people in there, and they'll be like, oh my God, this is, you guys are killing it. It's like, no, actually, like,
I mean,
if you consider the cost, it's like, it's really, really hard.
That's what when I was in there the other day, and I trained in the base gym for the first time. I was like, oh, man, it's so cool in here. And Charlie, my girlfriend, was in the build class with Shep, and that was really good. And then we were sat up front in the members area afterwards, and like all I could think was I was just looking around at the amount of coaches. I was like, I could feel like how stressed I was. And I was like, man, I don't know how he's doing this. Like, this is so stressful.
It is stressful. It is stressful. You know, we found a way to make it work, but it takes so much juggling and so much thought and so much of being careful. Like, it's very easy to like put on another class or hire another coach or do this or do that, but it can bury you if you're not really careful.
And I think a lot of gym owners, they really don't like. Do you have the phrase like it doesn't wash its face? Do you have that phrase here?
No.
Basically, like it's not paying for itself, or it's not covering like its needs.
Right.
I think a lot of gym owners, they run like their gym. I like class it like a Christmas tree, and they're just constantly just hanging like more and more baubles on it. But the tree itself is not that stable, and it's like at some point this is going to look terrible and it's going to fall over. Yeah. And they just keep adding more stuff, and I'm like, loads of the stuff you're doing, like it just doesn't wash its face. Like, take a step back and just like actually think about it from that standpoint.
Yeah, we actually had a case kind of pre-pandemic where I don't even know how we did it now, but at one point there was like 3 classes going on at the same time in the main studio, in the build studio. And, you know, but that means you're paying 3 coaches to coach 3 different classes, and of the people are divided between those classes. So economically, although there's more people in the room, it might seem like, oh, you're making more money, but you're not, because you're paying for 3 different coaches to be there. So it's exactly. Like, you know, when we reopen, it's like, okay, we need to really think about like this. What makes sense? What's worth it? What's not worth it? You can't have classes anymore that have like 5 people in there. Like they have to be classes that have 10 plus people. Otherwise it just doesn't make financial sense. Which, you know, can be disappointing for some members. Like, oh, but I love that class. Like, I know you did. We did too, but there were like 5 people in there. Like, it doesn't make any sense financially.
And even if those members say that they'll leave, quite often you could still financially be like better off by not paying the coach and stuff for that, and losing a few members, and being able to put like your resources elsewhere.
It's hard because it's that juggle of like what you really want to do from like a fitness standpoint versus what you really want to do as a business standpoint. Because there's so many things I would like to do from a fitness standpoint, but it just doesn't make any financial sense. And especially also when you're trying to, you know, I'm a fucking people pleaser. That's what I am. And I'm always trying to please people. I don't want to disappoint people. So you end up doing these things like, I'll do that. I'll do that. And then it's like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, so it's a really difficult, like, you know, balance.
And because you guys have like 600 plus members. So, I mean, for me, that's like crazy to comprehend when you have that, like the people pleasing standpoint is loads of members, they're very understanding of that this is a business that needs to work. But some, if they don't quite have that mindset, what they're looking for is like, well, this would be best for me. Right. And so it's like, well, if we did that for you, there's still 600 and something other members that so if all of them turn around and said this would be like I want classes at this time, I'd like to pay this much, and you know, whatever other things that they have, and you can't just do that for 600 people. Like, you kind of do what you can, but like you stay like your own course, and then people have
you end up in the mentality of what is the best for most people, and that's the decisions you have to make. And kind of the hardest thing for us was, you know, when we were like a 300 member gym, and a lot of people joined because of us, and everyone knew us, and it was like a bunch of friends and a bunch of friends of friends and so forth. It was really kind of easy to negotiate, like, what's the gym's feeling on this? What do most people want? And we could just speak to everybody, and it was like a very easy, you know, space to navigate. You know, as soon as you get into that 500, 600 member mark, you have so many different personalities, so many different wants, so many different needs, so many different suggestions, and so many more coaching staff who will have their ideas. You know, it becomes a completely different animal. And we have, like, for me and Emily now,
most of our time, or a lot of our time, is spent in meetings, like meeting with different departments, different people, because it's like we need to communicate with everybody. Well, the issue we've had over the years is people said, well, we didn't feel we were communicated with. So it's like, okay, our main thing has to be about communication. How do we communicate successfully with these people, so that everyone feels included, everyone feels that they have a voice. We're making the best decisions that are the best for everybody. And it all runs with this cohesion that can easily fall apart if you don't kind of like take the reins. I mean, I kind of like said to Emily all the time, please stop putting me in so many damn meetings. I look at my schedule for the day, it's like meeting after meeting after meeting. But she's right. I mean, they have to happen. Yeah. Otherwise, the place just cannot run successfully. But it's a hard lesson to learn, and just part of growing as a gym owner. Yeah. You will have to kind of walk away from the day-to-day interactions, which I hate, because that's what my real love is. I love interacting with people. I love being like on the floor, meeting people, like chatting, shooting shit. And I try and still do that as much as I possibly can. But then realizing that for the business to run successfully and cohesively, then I can't afford to do that too much, because there just isn't the time for it.
I think it's really important from like gym owners, from membership standpoint as well, to remember, it's very easy for us to look back on when we had, when I had 120 members and I was living in the gym, and it was actually relatively like stress-free. Right. And we look back on that time, you kind of threw like rose-tinted spectacles, and members do as well, like back to what it was then. And quite often, and I've seen gym owners have tried to go back to that. They're just like, I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to set up my own, I'm going to go back to what it was. And let's not forget, like when we were there, what we wanted is like what we have now. Like we wanted more members, bigger space, multiple sites, more coaches. Like we wanted the problems that we have now, and now we have to deal with them, because you go back, you just end up in the same cycle. Yeah, you do. Because then you're like, well, I remember now why I didn't want this small space, and I wanted all of these other things. And it's like, these are the problems that come with it. So now you have to like deal with them.
And also, like, you're at a different time in your life. Like maybe you're in your 20s, you're in a gym, you can coach for the classes, you don't care. Yeah. By the time you have a family and you have kids and all that kind of stuff, and you have more responsibilities, like you can't go back to that. Yeah, you can never go back to that.
Yeah. And the members are the same. Like we offer them a lot more now than we did back then. So it's like, okay, you want to go back to that, then we lose a lot of the stuff that we get now because we're a bigger site. So do you want
less? Or
do you want less? Yeah. Like it's not, you can't have all the great stuff that we have now, but all the benefits of 120 members. Right. Because that would just crumble like instantly. So, and then they're like,
and it's hard when you hear those comments like, oh yeah, it's not the same as it used to be when it was like you were in class and I knew everybody. It's like, I know, dude, I get it. Yeah. But it can't survive like that. Yeah. It just can't. So both your sites are basically the same size or similar in size, square footage wise.
Yeah,
right?
The one's size is a little bit bigger, but it's actually laid out in some ways less efficiently. So it's over 3 floors, whereas like the Clapham site's largely over 1 main floor.
And how far off is Wandsworth from Clapham now in terms of size membership?
They are, last time I checked, I think it was 289 in one and 310 in Clapham.
Oh, that's great.
So it's close, yeah.
Off. That's good.
Clapham dropped, because it had so many more members, it dropped loads during the pandemic. And I don't as you would know, and I'm sure there's areas that are in LA the same, but Clapham's very transient.
Yes.
And there was a lot of people that are quite young, first few years out of uni, and a lot of like people that are kind of my age that are having families. So during the pandemics, they either just moved back home to like live with their parents to get out of London, or people with families were like, do you know what, this is the time that we're going to take now to just move out, and we have the bigger house and all of that. So it really like dropped. So
for people that don't know that are listening, like Clapham is one of those places you move to right out of uni. Yeah. It's the place you go to. It's like you're in your early 20s. It's like fun. There's tons of bars. Yeah. You can go, you can get fucked up. You can like eat a ton of good food. Yeah. And there's clubs and the whole thing. There's Clapham Common, super fun. But yeah, I guess once you get into your like maybe 30s and 40s, you have a family, you tend to move out. Yeah. Do you have a different demographic between Wandsworth and Clapham? Would you say it's slightly older in Wandsworth?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's more of people do settle a little bit more around Wandsworth. That's what it feels, because there's surrounding places. I mean, like the guys that I listen to this are from LA and stuff. I mean, nothing but like Putney, Earlsfield, and those kind of places the kind of place where you go because it's still easy to commute, but you get better schools, bigger house, or houses, like all of that kind of stuff. So that's definitely one. But then it's even little things like Clapham, you know, the evening Athletica is really busy. The evening Athletica in Wandsworth is dead. So you think like as you go to a second site, you're just like, well, we'll have all of these learnings. And so we won't make any of those mistakes. And we're kind of like, you're just trying to repeat it. That's all you're trying to do is like refine, repeat, refine. So it becomes a scalable thing. And now we're like, well, these evening classes are dead. Those are really busy. These people want to train at like 5 a.m. These people want to train like at 6. So you think you're just going to be able to repeat it, but you're constantly just like, oh, new problems to solve and stuff. But,
exactly.
But it is, it's definitely catching. It's in a way more competitive area.
In Wandsworth?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, really?
I think there's 4 CrossFit gyms in the area that are like pure CrossFit, but then we've got F45, Orange Theory as the kind of bootcamp ones, plus Pure Gym and the gym, like which is like the kind of, do you guys have
Keycard 24-hour
like your budget
like,
ones, whatever you guys would have here? So we have those. So what we get a lot more of now is someone will come and do a trial with us on a Monday, and it's like, oh well, I'm going to try here on Tuesday and here on Thursday and here on Saturday, and then I'll let you know. Most of the time they do end up joining because actually from like a price standpoint we're very competitive, and also from a
there's more on offer.
Yeah, we have more on offer. So if you're comparing us and a CrossFit gym that are charging the same, it's like, okay, well, you can do CrossFit, you can do Stronger, you can do Athletica. We've got like Motion, which is like mobility strength work, and we have all of these things. Run Club, like we're like that one-stop shop. So that's kind of one of the reasons they end up coming back. But that's something we never dealt with in Clapham, because you come and trial in Clapham and you're basically like, well, you have literally no other option. If you want to put a barbell in your hands, it's us and that's it.
Right.
So completely different problem that we're now having to deal with as well.
Yeah. What have you noticed between like price points in America versus price points in the UK? Is it similar, or what is the average CrossFit?
The average one in London, so go for like the top one, basically. It's always the easiest. We see ones that are about $250 for the pounds. Sorry, yeah. So
that's like $300.
$300, yeah. There's some that are more central that are a bit more expensive, but kind of if you're not right in the middle of the business district, top's gonna be like $250. You know, we're around that like $205, right? You guys like $250, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys in London would be like £300 easy, 350 pounds. So, and the same for AMP. I think like they're actually, compared to London, when you guys were saying what your membership price were, I was like, oh, this is actually way less than I thought.
Right.
Because all I can do is compare a lot of other things. Like if we went out for brunch here the other day, and it was more than it would have been in London, and buy drinks, and like it's more, and like loads of the other comparable things are way more, but then the gyms itself I think are less.
It's funny because Pharos is people think it's expensive, but it's really not. Like for what you get, if you compare it to CrossFit gyms or boutique gyms or like Barry's Bootcamp or any of these gyms that are just offering like either a small product or a single product, or like a monocrop agriculture type product. You like that reference, man?
What is a monocrop agriculture?
It's like you just have the same product that you produce over and over and over year round.
Okay.
And it's bad for the soil.
Deep reference for people listening there.
Their price point is basically the same as ours. So when people say we're expensive, it's like we're incredibly good value for what you get for your money, because you have access to all these classes, all this open gym. That open gym has a ton of equipment in there that costs me a ton of money, but it's awesome and I love it. So I'm going to do it. But I genuinely believe people get good value for money at the club. And you can say, but I can go to Equinox and I can get a swimming pool. And it's like, well, yeah, you can go to Equinox and you'll pay the same price, but get back to me in 6 months where you get 0 results.
Yeah.
Because most people that go to just gym spaces like that just wander around and do very little. Like some people are great and they will get results because they're just naturally hardworking people. But for most people that aren't getting coached, they're not going to any coach classes, they're not getting any kind of like training help, they'll pay that money and get zero results. So it's about value, and it's about investing in, it's cliche, but it's about investing in yourself. Like, what do you really want to get out of the return for your money? Do you just want to go in and have a nice shower with some nice product? Or are you going to the gym to truly get results and truly change and truly get stronger and truly get healthier? Because if you are, this is the right place for you. And I feel that way about us, and I feel that way about AMP, our friends at Alex and Anna over there. I think they're doing a great job. And again, they did so good during the pandemic. And the advantage we had over here, of course, is we could go outside. And you guys couldn't.
In the first
brutal.
The first lockdown, when we could train outside, we were really lucky. We had a break of weather, which was just like glorious sun the whole time. So we were out on the common, and it was so good to the point my members were like, can we keep this going even when the gym opens? Because it was awesome. And like, even to coach, like just standing outside for 4 hours in the sun versus being inside in the studio and stuff, it was really, really good. And then we had another lockdown the following year, and we went to run the outdoor classes again when we could open, and it was freezing cold. Like, I remember coming in and one of the coaches, Sam, like her hands are literally just blue. And I was like, this is not as much fun. And all I could see was like, you guys, you had the car park and AMP, and I was like, man, this sucks.
It was I mean, it was such hard work for us, like taking all the equipment out, bringing all the equipment in. We had 2 different car parks. It was a ton of work, but you know, we're in LA. The weather was kind, the weather was good. We had all kinds of issues to deal with, but you know, compared to what you guys had in the UK, it was 1,000 times better. Let's talk about the future. What's next for Gymnasium?
So for Gymnasium, we are still looking to open more sites. Got a couple that are in the pipeline, in the sense that we've looked at them, but it just takes a lot to kind of move them through stage and stage.
And are you at your mental kind of approach to this? Do you wait for a gym to be like financially stable before you move into the next one, or are you just like, fuck that, I'm just gonna fucking grow? Yeah,
so we're like pushing to grow as quick as possible, mainly because it takes so long that if we wait until one is stable to start looking for another one, the process is just going to be way too slow. So we have to start, even though Wandsworth needs, a lot more, and Clapham still, it needs more members, and, still things to try and make it better for members, which is as much of a focus as just adding more members. If we wait until they're both up and running fully where we want them to be, it takes probably it's averaging 18 months to 2 years from the day we see a site online to actually opening. So you just have to, it's like that kind of leap of faith is, we have some of us, Alex, working on looking at new sites, trying to get them up and running. And then others like myself, Tim, the gym lead, Sam, they're focusing on the gyms as they kind of go, and then just with the support of the investor, just trying to push it forward as kind of fast as possible. But we're trying to focus more on London at the moment, ideally close to the existing ones, because it's just you get to hop members across, which is really important, because you then have a starting pot of culture and coaches as well. But anywhere in London now, because it's so hard to find sites, we're also becoming a little bit more loose with our geography as well. At this point, we're just just give us any site.
Are you always looking for that kind of 3,000 square foot kind of size? That's your kind of model?
Yeah, 3 to 4. We will look at ones that are slightly bigger if the rent is probably, is slightly better, but it's very much we kind of have the model that we want. And if we saw a 10,000 square foot space, you end up with a load of problems that we haven't yet had to deal with.
Yeah.
And every time
when you get that, call me.
Yeah, exactly. We're just trying to every site we do, we're trying to reduce the potential list of new problems that we come across until it's just we open and you're you kind of good to go on anything.
I think that's kind of similar to 98. I think they're around the same kind of size, right? Are they around 3,000 square feet?
I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I've only ever spoken to Chris via Instagram, and even that, I think I was just recommending someone to go there, trying to get some details. But I recommended some of our members from Clapham, actually, who moved to Australia. They were training in a CrossFit gym, but they were very much like, oh, it wasn't the same as when we were there. And I kept saying to them, I was like, just go to this gym. Like, I'm sure this is what you're looking for. And eventually, like, they went, but they'd already been there for a few years. And then I got a message from Ash, like, afterwards, just being like, oh, we should have come here years ago. Like, so 98 definitely doing something really good out there.
I love what they're doing.
Yeah,
I think Chris is great. Well. I think Chris is a great. I think he's a great leader. I think he's obviously a great athlete. He's got a good brain, and he's managed to really hold on to what the brand is. Yeah, you know, and grow it in a respectful and economically savvy way, but also like, you know, they've never lost what makes 98. Yeah, I think that's a really hard thing to do. Because I think they have 3 sites now. I mean, it's so weird that I follow them so much, having like never been there or met Chris, but like I just really like what they do. So I know they've got Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and I think Perth. So I think it might be up to like 4. But and what's weird as well, like, you know, Australia had brutal lockdowns and stuff, and they just like he just like put his foot down and just kept plowing through. And I think that's almost why I've ended up following it more, just being like, man, this guy has hustled to get like all of this across. And at the same time, like, he has 2 kids now, so he has a family, and I think he moved kind of out a little bit, so I know he's commuting a lot. So props to 98, props to Chris Feather. They're doing a great job. It's super impressive. I want to go there at some point and check it out. But I did go to the one in Sydney years ago. Super nice. But that was before like they'd started this kind of like new growth kind of process. I think Russell Crowe was still involved at that point. But and also like, I could be wrong, but I think like one of the, like, Sam Burgess was training there, like the rugby player, I think, as well. So he had like, obviously because Chris was in a professional rugby player, so I guess he has that like connection and stuff. Exactly, big rugby league kind of like, connections. So how many gyms would you want ultimately, do you think? Is it like an endless number, or? Yeah, it's like, you know, if you ask, I mean, from day one, if you asked our investor, it'd be like over 100. It was. Oh, really? Yeah. I want to just grow. Like, it's infinite. It comes from a big part of it is our investor, who we're like really fortunate to have, also came from a standpoint where he really disliked the fitness industry as to where it was. So he wanted to like disrupt that as much as possible. And so, we'll keep going for as long as we can, really. But who knows, like, where it'll be, the industry as a whole, like in 10 years, if you look back to where it was 10 years ago, like when we were first getting into it, and where it is now, and where it'll be in like 10 years from now, it's so many new problems that we're going to have to face and like figure out. So I agree. I mean, that was my next question to you. What do you think the fitness industry looks like moving forward? I think there's like 2 big things that I start to see a lot more of now. One is a lot more stuff about the old school bodybuilding style stuff that's starting to like eke its way back in. But it's like the hybrid version of it. So people are now they appreciate their like functional compound work, and like they're doing free weights like squats and deadlifts and stuff. But the things like, you know, leg press machines and all of these other resistance things are starting to like kind of creep back into people's training as this kind of like hybrid version of training. Because, you know, even from my standpoint, like, that's why I was in the base gym the other day, where I was just trying to hit like every toy possible. Like, I haven't used this for 10 years. This is amazing. But people are now like much smarter about their training on the whole, I think. And so they know how to use those in a better way than like 10 years ago, where like leg day was just doing like knee extension machine and stuff. So I think there'll be a shift back in, and the fitness industry constantly goes like around in circles, and things come back in and they drift out again. And I think the other big thing from a PT standpoint, which we don't, because we don't do any personal training, but one thing that I think is a huge change in the PT industry now is the level of knowledge that PTs have to have versus 10 years ago is you know, tenfold. So we would get people that come up to, even because they come up to me now, mainly because like I'm a cripple, so I've had to deal with loads of injuries and stuff over time. And they'll say, oh, I like tweaked my hip doing like this and this and this, like what kind of stuff should I do? And 5 years ago,
a coach you'd come up with an exercise that basically tweaks like out the pain, but maybe didn't have that much relevance to the exercise they were going to do. So it's like, oh, it's squats, that hurts your hips, you're going to do shoulder press. Like, like you're giving them an alternative, but
you're not fixing the problem.
You're not really like giving them the same stimulus. Whereas now, like the PTs, they're coming to us almost under the same expectation as they would to a physio. Like, I have pain.
Yeah.
Solve this pain. Don't just like work around it, but like, what can I do? And so if you're a PT coming into the industry now and you're coming off the back of whatever you guys have as like your fitness qualification, like that's like here. And there's already PTs that are operating at such a high level. And so I say to people, like, if you're coming into this industry now, you have to appreciate the level of coaches that are out there from a personal training standpoint are way beyond like your qualification.
Right.
And then even if it's, you know, people that want to do like hypertrophy work, like the knowledge, like guys like, you know, the programming that someone would get from you versus someone that's coming out of like a, you know, PT qualification. It's so much further along than it was years ago. And that's like the level at which, so that's going to be like a big shift. I think like PTs are, in my opinion now, becoming almost like one of the first lines of defense in like health and wellness versus before it would be like, I've got this pain in my knee, I'm going to go to a doctor. And now it's like, I've got this pain in my knee, I wonder what like my coach advice is going to be.
For sure.
So it's like,
for sure. I mean, Emily gets that a ton actually. I think you're right. I think, you know, one of the reasons why, you know, we've been successful as a club is because of the multiplicity, because of the hybrid nature of it. I think you do need to offer a lot more than just one product. The problem that I see is that realty is getting so expensive. I don't know if you can open, or I don't know where you can open another Pharos anymore.
Yep.
Like, it's just so expensive to do it. I mean, we were lucky we got in at a time when it wasn't too bad and we got a good deal and so forth. But to open a gym like ours in a major city, I mean, you know, if you were to open a gym like ours, 22,000 square feet in London. Oh, can you imagine the rent cost?
Yeah.
There's just no way you could do it.
And it's coming off like the gyms that are doing it now, like the existing Globo gyms that have something and they have huge investment.
Right. And so then it's a $1 billion corporation that opens that gym. And then it's a different thing because no longer is it a mom and pop family owned gym like ours. It's a corporate owned billionaires club where, like Equinox, are essentially a realty company. Yeah. They just buy property and then put like lease the gym to themselves, kind of thing. So that's my concern. It's like, I know from what people really want and need is like a Pharos type situation, but my worry is realty is getting so expensive. I wonder if it can be sustained. So that's the real challenge, is to find property that can work, and it might not be in the city. You might have to drive out a little way to get to it, because I don't think it's going to be affordable in cities to open gyms like Pharos Athletic Club.
Yeah, I guess like our hope is harsh because it's going to affect businesses, but it's like, will there be more retail spaces or like office spaces that, because like now, like, you know, retail's really suffered and people aren't using office spaces as much. Right. So does that, like, because previously all we were looking at was like warehouse space, which is now actually being used largely for distribution centers or like, you know, fulfillment centers and stuff. So the price of warehouse space is actually going up and up and up.
Yeah, Amazon buy everything.
Yeah, exactly. And like supermarkets that are just doing like online ordering and all that kind of stuff. Whereas office space, like, will that potentially be where gyms have to go in future?
Right,
because previously we couldn't, because that was the premium. That's what everyone was paying more for.
Yes.
And now it's like, actually, we don't need this
much
office space. So is it going to be like something?
Well, and as more and more companies realize, well, actually, we can work from home now. We can work remotely. We don't need to pay for office space. So maybe that will lower the cost of retail space, hopefully. Yeah. Because something has to happen. Because honestly, I don't know who can afford these fucking prices. Yeah, and we were out of control. We were saying, like, both of us, how lucky we were, because we opened in a site where we had one unit, and then we could take next door to grow like there, and then you know, you guys went up and we went out. Whereas, and that's how a gym should grow. Like, if you're a startup and you're small, it's like, start small, get it right, and then grow. The issue is,
most of the time when it comes to that growth point now, it's like, it also means moving.
Yeah,
it's
moving.
like, oh, we have to go. And then that affects your current member base. And especially in LA with like traffic and stuff, I imagine like 2 miles one way, if it somehow incorporates this one section of road, it's going to affect someone's journey like disproportionately. 100%. So that's going to be a problem people have to face, like, and how you get around that, like, who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what happens with the gymnasium. Congratulations on everything you've done so far.
Congrats on Pharos as well. The new space looking awesome. So
it's been, you know, we've known each other for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's been great to see how you've grown, how you've applied yourself, how you've like survived and thrived and all that good stuff. And I look forward to seeing what continues to grow and what continues to happen. So
thanks.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
And thanks for tuning in, guys. That was Jack Heneghan again. Gymnasium. What's the best place to find out about Gymnasium?
Go to our website, gymnasium.fit.
Gymnasium.fit.
It's got links to everything on there, our socials, our classes, and all that sort of stuff.
Great. And it's in Clapham and in Wandsworth. So if you live in those areas, check it out. If you're visiting the UK,
yeah, for sure. If you're visiting over the next year, because you can travel and stuff now, reach out to us via that, and then we'll get you in for sure.
Yeah, and what's your Instagram? At Gymnasium?
Gymnasium.fit. So it's Gymnasium Wandsworth and Gymnasium Clapham.
Okay. Bow. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Tune in soon. Great to be back with you guys. We are at 1316 Glendale Blvd. Pharos Athletic Club. Come to you soon. Till then, take care. Cheers. Bye, guys.